A Nigerian security-related witness was also reportedly presented by the prosecution. Now, in this video, we will carefully break down what reportedly happened in the court, what Simon Ekpa said, what his lawyers challenged, and most importantly, what today's proceedings actually mean for his appeal. So let's get straight into the detail. Number one, what happened in court? Today's proceeding reportedly continued after an earlier technical problems affected the presentation of digital evidence during a previous hearing. The defense was expected to continue presenting its arguments and addressing digital materials relied upon in the case. One of the central issues was the interpretation of Simon Ekpa's online broadcast 2021 and 2024. The defense position, according to the account of proceedings, is that this broadcast should be viewed as political rhetoric, civil rights advocacy, and symbolic resistance rather than operational instruction for violence. That distinction is extremely important because the prosecution's case has focused heavily on the alleged connection between Simon Ekpa's communications and violence in southeastern Nigeria. Number two, prosecution presents Nigerian witness. Another major development reported from the hearing was the appearance of a Nigerian security-related witness. The witness was described in the account of the proceedings as being connected to Nigerian Department of State Services, commonly known as DSS. The witness reportedly gave evidence concerning events in southeastern Nigeria and alleged consequences connected to the statement or instructions attributed to Simon Ekpa. However, viewers should take note of this point. At this stage, we should be careful about identifying the witness' state of origin or employment details unless those details are confirmed by official court documents. The witness evidence is therefore best described as prosecution evidence presented to the court rather than as established facts. Defense questions the evidence, being number three. After the prosecution witness gave evidence, Ekpa's defense reportedly challenged witness during cross-examination. The defense wanted to establish how the evidence had been obtained. Questions reportedly focused on the was authenticated and what its role in obtaining or examining the evidence. This is a critical part of a legal proceedings. A lawyer does not necessarily have to prove during cross-examination that every piece of evidence is false. The defense can instead challenge whether the evidence is reliable, properly authenticated, and sufficiently connected to the accused. That appears to be one of the areas Simon Ekpa's defense is focusing on. Simon Ekpa speaks. That is number four. Another major point in today's account is that Simon Ekpa himself reportedly addressed the court. And what did he say? According to the account, Simon Ekpa rejected the allegation that his online activities were intended to facilitate violence. His position was his broadcasts were political communications and part of what he described as non-violent political resistance. He also reportedly maintained that he should not be held responsible for evidence for violence in southeastern Nigeria. This is significant because it goes directly to the question at the center of his appeal. What exactly was Simon Ekpa responsible? What exactly was Simon Ekpa responsible for? And what can legally be attributed to him? Number five, the prosecution challenge. The prosecution's position, however, is fundamentally different. If Simon Ekpa argues that he was not responsible for the violence allegedly connected to the movement, the prosecution can naturally ask another question. And what is the question? If he was not responsible, then who was? That is where the legal argument becomes particularly important. But viewers should understand that a defendant's refusal to accept responsibility does not automatically prove either guilt or innocence. The court must assess the evidence and determine whether the prosecution has established the necessary legal elements of offenses. Number 6. What happened next? Well, at the end of the proceedings, the three-judge panel evidence presented during the appeal process, but there is an important warning for everyone following this case. Today's hearing should not automatically be described as a court victory for Simon. There is no reliable basis from the information currently available to us to declare that the court has released him, overturned his conviction, or delivered a final judgment today. Those are separately legal developments and should only be reported when officially confirmed. Now, what this means for the appeal. So, what should we take away from today's proceedings? First of all, Simon Ekpa's defense continued to challenge the prosecution's evidence. Secondly, the interpretation of his social media broadcasts remain a central issue. Third, the prosecution reportedly relied on evidence from a Nigerian security-related witness. The defense questioned the source, authenticity, and reliability of that evidence. And finally, Simon himself reportedly maintained that his communications were political and non-violent, and rejected responsibility for the violence alleged against him. The judges will ultimately have to evaluate the competing arguments and if before reaching their decision. Now, in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, that is the latest picture from what happened or from the Simon Ekpa's court case or his court proceedings based on the account of today's hearing. So for those following the case, the most important thing right now is to avoid confusing a court hearing with a final judgment. Simon Ekpa's appeal is still a legal process, and until the court officially announces his decision, claims that he has already won, been released, or has his conviction overturned, it should be treated with caution. We continue to monitor developments and bring you confirmed information as it becomes available. If you Actually, the area we want to emphasize on is a Nigerian witness was presented by the prosecution. That is, a witness come all the way from Nigeria, and it mentioned that according to the report that the witness come from Enugu State. I'm not really that sure. I'm not really that certain about that, but it can still be possible. We can't say, but according to the report. But I know that even the governor of Enugu State, they can still do that. They can still present, provide a witness from Enugu State. A witness is brought all the way from Enugu State to testify against Simon Ekpa in Finland. Just imagine. Okay, it's a big development because the prosecution reportedly presents Nigerian security intelligence witness. That is, this person is a DSS officer. A DSS officer who come to testify against Simon. The witness gave evidence. He gave so many evidence concerning the situation in southeastern Nigeria and linked some of the alleged consequences there to a statement or instruction attributed to Mazi Simon Ekpa. Well, we are still going to know how this, because we will follow this case. We are going to follow this case. Just subscribe to my YouTube channel and subscribe to my channel. If you have not followed me, follow me. Follow me on TikTok, and they continue to stay tuned We are going to follow this matter. Yes, but we know victory at last. Thank you.
Welcome to Justman TV News, your trusted source for the latest headlines and breaking updates. We bring you the stories that matter most every single day.
Simon Ekpa appeal hearing. Defense challenges Nigerian evidence as Simon Ekpa speaks in court. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Justman News. There has been a significant development in the ongoing legal battle involving Simon Ekpa in Finland. According to the account of today's proceedings, Simon Ekpa appealed court as his appeal process continues, with his defense team challenging evidence presented against him and arguing that his social media broadcast should be understood as political expression and non-violent activism. A Nigerian security-related witness was also reportedly presented by the prosecution. Now, in this video, we will carefully break down what reportedly happened in the court, what Simon Ekpa said, what his lawyers challenged, and most importantly, what today's proceedings actually mean for his appeal. So let's get straight into the detail. Number one, what